morning. This is WGTV Today, Wayne Goldsboro Television, and today is January 10th.
Yes, it
Can
is.
you believe that? A third of the month already gone. Not that I'm rushing things, but we'll get there eventually. Hello, my name is Wayne Alley.
And I'm Kim Bess. Good morning, and thank you for joining us.
Well, Kim.
Yes.
Again, a lot of great stuff on today's program. We have quite a lineup for you today. Who's on today's program?
We do. We actually have Scott Barnard with Goldsboro Parks and Recreation.
That's good.
He's coming on board to talk about the Goldsboro mountain bike trails and the greenways that are being worked on right here in our community, and he'll tell you more details about all of that.
Looking forward to that.
We also have Becky, the CFO from Wayne Memorial Hospital, here to talk about their recent assessment that was done and survey, and they're going to give us some results from that.
The community health
needs assessment.
I want to hear about that myself.
Well, she'll tell us a little bit, and then she'll tell us when we can hear all the details.
Oh, okay.
And then we also have Cindy Stollard on today. She is the city's occupational health nurse, and she's giving us some wellness tips and some wellness information for the winter months.
All right.
So we have a full schedule today.
That's great. Looking forward to it. Yeah, we're going to have some good information for you. Well, today is January 10th. It is National Cut Your Energy Costs Day. That's always something to be cognizant of at all times. Be aware of how you can, and whether you're a green thinking person or not, it's always good to try and save a little extra money.
Right.
So that's a good idea, and you can save money just by cutting your energy costs. You know, turn that light out when you leave the room. Keep the foot off the gas as much as you can. Anyway.
That's true. We want to remind you that Goldsboro City Council meeting will be taking place on Tuesday, January the 22nd, which is an unusual day for us because of the Martin Luther King holiday on Monday. It will be scheduled Tuesday, January the 22nd. Of course, at 5 o'clock will be our work session in the large City Hall Annex. And then at 7 o'clock, we'll have our formal meeting, as always, in Historic City Hall in the City Hall chambers. So 5 and 7.
And that's the evening of the 22nd.
Of course it is, 7 o'clock p.m.
Right. Now, earlier in the day, Wayne County Commissioners will have their regularly scheduled meeting that begins with a briefing at 8 a.m. And then the meeting itself begins at 9 o'clock, and this is all taking place in Commission chambers on the 4th floor of the Wayne County Courthouse. And then that evening, the City Council will have their meeting.
So both in one day.
Both in one day.
January 22nd.
Oh, boy. The year was 1917.
What happened?
My dad was born for
Really?
one thing, but besides all that, that's the year that Buffalo Bill Cody died. You may remember that name. Buffalo Bill Cody was quite an icon and quite a character, as a matter of fact, in the wild, wild West, as they call it. He died in Denver at the age of 70. Some 25,000 people viewed the body of Buffalo Bill Cody. The Colorado National Guard actually marched in the funeral procession for Buffalo Bill.
Well, sir.
Yeah, he had a Wild West show, you know, where he'd ride in an arena and have the stagecoaches and the Indians attacking. And anyway, it was quite a show. Anyway, he was quite an icon there. And the year was 1948 when a young 13-year-old girl by the name of Loretta.
I think we may know her.
Loretta Webb was her name. She was from Butcher Holler, Kentucky. She married at the age of 13. She married a guy named Oliver Lynn Jr. They called him Mooney. They had 6 children: Betty Sue, Jack, Benny, Clara, Ernest, Ray, Peggy, and Patsy. Mooney died in 1996, and Loretta grew up to become
Loretta Lynn.
Loretta Lynn. That's exactly right.
So her last name was what?
Her last name was Webb.
Because you just don't ever hear much about that. It's always Loretta Lynn.
You always hear Loretta Lynn, but her last name is actually Webb. 13 years old in 1948 when she got married.
My goodness.
Yes, yes, yes. Both the star, Jane Russell, and the audience showed up for the Silver Springs, Florida premiere of the film Underwater wearing swimsuits. The star and the audience all wearing swimsuits. They also wore scuba tanks and swim fins. This was the first and probably the only movie ever to debut underwater. Yeah.
Wow, that's unusual.
And coming up a little later on, we will have our trivia question for you today. And we'll give you the answer as well.
That's
at some point during the program. We'll talk on, give you some information on our almanac about who's having birthdays today. And very quickly, want to remind Wayne County landowners, the Cooperative Extension Service, along with Mount Olive College and NC Woodlands, hosting a forestry workshop. This forestry workshop will be held on January 15th at Wayne Center. I think it's at Wayne Center. Anyway, the workshop, part of a series of meetings. Saving the Family Forest is the series. The topic for this particular meeting will be estate planning, but it's for Wayne County landowners. If you're a farmer, landowner, etc., you'll want to attend this meeting. Oh,
and don't forget, Our State magazine is going to be focusing on Goldsboro and the surrounding community. They came and did an article back in October, I believe, on the Seymour Johnson Air Force Base and the connection they have with the city.
Oh boy!
And I believe the name of it is Up in the Air. It was fabulous. I've seen it already, and they have done a great job of showcasing Seymour Johnson Air Force Base, both the 4th Fighter Wing and the 916th Refueling Wing. So you definitely want to get your copy of Our State magazine for the January edition if you haven't seen it. Something you're going to hold on to and keep. It'll be a nice keepsake for years to come.
You know, that's probably on the stands now.
It is, because I've already gotten mine.
Okay.
It certainly is.
Well, I've got to get a copy
January edition.
All right, what else do we have here?
Let's see.
I've got one for you. If you're a sufferer of arthritis, there's going to be free arthritis exercise classes available starting January 15th. Now that's next week. Next week, Tuesdays and Wednesdays of every week for an 8-week program from 10 a.m. until 11 a.m. This free arthritis exercise class is available at the Peggy M. Seeger Senior Center on East Ash Street. And it's specifically for people with arthritis. Registration is required. Now, you must register for this, and you can do so by calling Aaron at 705-1785, 705-1785.
We want to remind you have the opportunity to give blood on Saturday, February the 2nd at Rosewood High School. Well, that'll be from 9 in the morning until 2 in the afternoon.
I want your blood.
Everybody that does give blood that day will get a coupon for Adam's car wash as well.
That's right. All right. Let's see what else we have here. Zumba.
Yes.
Okay, well, there's a couple of Zumba classes available in Wayne County, and they started, well, registration has expired, but...
Well, you can also do the Zumba classes at Goldsboro Parks and Recreation.
Well, that's right.
That's right. They offer those classes on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. You can participate in Zumba for only $5 per class. You can call 919-739-7480 for more information. But if you'd like to do Zumba, it's Tuesday and Thursday evenings from 5:30 to 6:30.
And Kim, what was that number again?
919-739-7480. That's at Goldsboro Parks and Recreation at Herman Park Center.
Okay. Outstanding.
You can also take the pottery classes. If you're interested in learning how, yes. They have pottery classes on Monday and Tuesday evenings. You can call that same number I gave you earlier, 739-7491, for additional information.
Wow. I haven't been potted in years. That's wonderful. Pottery. Pottery class.
That's right.
Pottery. Got it. Okay. All right.
Well, who's up first on today's show? I believe it may be Scott Barnard.
Scott Barnard with Parks and Recreation, City of Goldsboro Parks and Recreation Department. We're going to talk about greenways, bicycle paths, and it's a very interesting program here.
Mountain bike trails.
You talked with Scott a few days ago.
I did, so stay tuned and let's see what Scott's got to say. Barnard with Goldsboro Parks and Recreation. Glad to have you, Scott.
Thank you very much.
Well, what all have you got going on that is new with Goldsboro Parks and Recs?
Well, what I wanted to talk about today was our brand new mountain bike trails. They're continuing to grow almost on a daily basis. It's a trail network that's located just behind the Lantern Inn at the corner of Peachtree and Randolph Streets. We now have the trailhead signed, and you can access them through that same trailhead. That's our trailhead for the Greenway system as well. That allows folks to walk the section or bike the section of greenways north of Ash Street.
Well, tell us exactly what mountain bike trails are and what they are. What is the purpose in having them in our community?
That's actually a really good question, because a lot of times folks just don't understand. They get out there and they're like, oh my gosh, this is really skinny.
Right.
Mountain bike trails are also known as single track, and these are trails that aren't just restricted to mountain bikes for use. They are open to walkers, runners. It's a really good place to bird or walk a dog, but they are narrow. This isn't a trail that you can walk beside another person on. Even the beginner trail,
that's good to know.
You know, the beginner trail's width is somewhere around the 24-inch And then once you get on the intermediate trail, they kind of narrow down to around 18. And then when you get onto an advanced trail, usually the width of mountain bike bars is around 20 inches. A lot of times you'll get a trail that's more narrow than that.
My goodness.
And, you know, you're challenging the riders to actually squeeze into places and really pick their lines and things like that. It's not uncommon on a more advanced or more challenging trail for, you know, the riders to start cutting down the bars on their bikes and start riding narrow bars and that kind of thing. So we haven't developed them to that extent yet. Everything is rideable by every rider. We haven't started incorporating any challenging obstacles like sky bridges or teeter-totters or things like that. But there is interest in the mountain bike community in adding some of those obstacles, and I think that you'll see those coming in the future. But right now we're trying to get a lot of mileage on the ground. We're close to 6 miles of single track and 3 stacked loops. A stacked loop system allows you to go out there, and if I'm a beginner rider and I'm riding with a more advanced rider, I can ride the beginner loop, and he or she can ride the intermediate and the advanced loops, and we really all end up back at the same place. So we can ride the beginner loop together, and they can branch off and do a lap or two on the beginner, on the intermediate and advanced, and then, like I said, you all end up back at the same place.
Well, that's nice to know. So families could do this together.
Absolutely, it's a really great way, you know, and to go out and spend some time with your kids. The trails are not difficult to the point where somebody on a single-speed 20-inch bike, like a kid's BMX bike, can't ride. In fact, most kids, that's the way they're going to enjoy it the most.
Okay.
You won't really have a need to get those additional gears, you know, until you start riding the advanced loop or until you really want to take your riding to that next level. And then for some riders, that next level is, hey, you know, I don't like 21 or 28 speeds. I want to go back to 1. And there's a whole little subcult of people that ride single-speed bikes. And they like to challenge themselves by taking away the gears.
Well, what advantages do we have by having this in our community?
Well, you know, it's just another dimension to our Parks and Recreation Department, to our city of Goldsboro. It's a recreational amenity that goes in for, you know, a ridiculously low amount of money. The trails have been developed by the users. You know, it's been coordinated through our Parks and Recreation Department. Kind of a core group of folks have gone out there and pre-flagged, but then we've had a series of volunteer days where we've invited the mountain bike community to come out, largely promoted through Bicycle World and then the Seaboro Cyclist. The Seaboro Cyclist is an existing road bike club, and a lot of road bikers mountain bike when it's too cold to road bike, you know.
Okay.
But then once it gets warmer, they want to retreat back to their comfort zone, which is going to be
Right.
road biking. So you know, we get a lot of kind of crossover from the Seaboro Cyclist, and they are kind of forming an offshoot mountain bike club right now as well. And then in the works, you know, something I want to kind of preview is that, you know, in the works, we're working on bringing a feature mountain bike film to the Paramount, something we'll likely screen toward the end of March, and will likely be hosted by SORBA, which is the Southern Off-Road Mountain Bike Association. So we're working on some things to kind of let folks know how mainstream mountain biking is, and then, you know, just show how the addition of mountain bike trails to a park not only is a great bang for your buck as far as your recreational dollar, but you know, it's a phenomenal way to get a really great workout, some adventure, and then, you know, be right back at the house to cut the grass or anything else you've got to do on a Saturday morning.
So how does this tie in with our greenways that we're hoping to bring here in our community?
Well, you know, one of the biggest selling points for a greenway system is that, you know, greenways serve all folks' needs, and then the idea is that oftentimes greenways connect folks from places where they work or live to places that they want to play. And whether you're getting on the greenway and walking from your subdivision over to grab a bite to eat, or whether you're getting on the greenways to access mountain bike trails, you know, and that's why, you know, a greenway system is such a foundational element in a Parks and Recreation Department now, because off of a greenway system is where you either connect to existing parks, connect to future parks, or connect to other amenities that people are looking for. People are looking for that either adventure experience or whether that nature observation or wildlife appreciation experience where they want to take a greenway to get somewhere to do something, and then they want to then utilize that greenway as a pedestrian corridor or a transportation corridor back to either where they park, they live, they eat, they work, etc.
Well, tell me where we are in Goldsboro with that.
You know, we're at a really neat point where we have a couple grants in the pipeline. Hopefully by the time this airs, you know, here in the next, you know, little bit of time, we'll actually have some of these grants in place. We have 2 grant applications in the pipeline right now, one in the name of the county, one in the name of the city, that will really be a leap forward toward the development of these greenways. They could potentially construct greenways on the existing corridor we have. We're blessed in the fact that we have a greenway corridor that largely connects the back gate of the base off of Slocum Street all the way up Stony Creek into Stony Creek Park. So it crosses Elm, crosses Ash, continues up Stony Creek all the way to Royal, nearly connecting to our existing Fairview Park, and then goes underneath 70. Obviously, that'll be a challenge.
Right.
But once you get over to 70, it connects to Quail Park, and then it continues up and connects to the community college, the hospital. Just the large world that's developing here in our town. Just north of 70 and going up to the new 70 corridor. So it's really neat because we already have, we already have it. It just hasn't been developed or promoted.
Right.
So, whereas a lot of communities have to go into land acquisition and try to purchase property, the city or the county or the community college or the hospital, these larger organizations already own this corridor and are willing to partner together to develop it as a recreational, really asset for Goldsboro.
Right, absolutely. Sounds like a huge collaborative effort
that's
taking place right now.
Neat.
If people want to find out more information about these greenways, where can they go to access this information?
There's a great meetup group that is formed with the Friends of Wayne County Greenways. You can search and find that relatively easily. If you come to the Parks and Recreation Department's website or our Facebook page, we've linked back to that in the past and will continue to do so. The Friends of organization is developing a website, and look to see that coming out here very shortly. And then there's also going to be some cross-linking. You'll be able to find information through the Seaborough Cyclist because a lot of their members are involved in that effort as well.
Exactly.
And then I think there's also some reference to it on the Disc Golf's Facebook page as well. So it's really neat because all of these organizations are coming together around central themes and ideas, and the disc golfers are seeing the value of the greenways, the road cyclists are seeing the value of the mountain bike trails, and it's just an exciting kind of connection between all of these different interests.
And working together, you can get a lot more accomplished.
Absolutely.
In the short term and in the long term. Can you give me a little more information about the Seaborough Cyclist?
Well, the Seaborough Cyclist, like I said, is primarily a road bike club. Be honest with you, I'm not sure what there's a couple different branches of cycling in the world. I'm not sure who they're affiliated with, but they're largely formed around the staff, or they're interconnected with the staff that operate and own Bicycle World. So if anybody were interested in that group, I would refer them to Bicycle World. To either talk to Dave Galloway, Steve 21, or Mike, the owner, and that would be a great place to find information. Or like I said, they do have a Facebook site and they also have a website as well. So if you search Seaborough Cyclist, they pop right up.
Great. Well, it sounds like exciting things are happening in our community, and that Parks and Recs is really sort of taking the lead in a lot of this and making sure that we continue to grow in our community and have opportunities for people to be able to participate and do unique and exciting things, and keeping ourselves healthy.
Absolutely.
And in 2013, that's one of the things that I know many of us have it on our list, to stay healthy and to continue to live a lifestyle that will keep us living long and many, many years.
You got it, and having fun all along the way.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much for being with us today, Scott. We appreciate you always coming and sharing great information.
Appreciate it.
Until next time, I'm Kim Best with WGTV Today.
Well, that was a lot of fun, Kim.
It was. They do a great job, and they're really working together with lots of other organizations in our community to make sure we have lots of things that you can do with your family and to stay healthy. So if you want more information, like we said earlier, you can go to the city's website, or you can go to the Parks and Recreation Facebook page as well.
Outstanding. Outstanding. Okay, great job there, Scott and Mark.
Oh, yes, they both do good jobs.
Our trivia question for today has to do with songwriter Stevie Wonder, megastar. Everybody loves Stevie Wonder. Well, in order to do what he does so well, he on the business side, he has to sign contracts, right?
Of course.
Well, of course, he is unsighted. He's blind, as everyone knows. Singer-songwriter Stevie Wonder has to sign contracts, and in order to sign contracts, he also adds something to, sometimes he signs, it's not necessary that he signs, but he does something to the contracts when he endorses them besides sign them? What does he do? That's the question, and you think about that, and I'll tell you in a few minutes.
It would have to be something that would make it unusual for him.
Exactly.
What might that be?
What might that be? Something that would be unusual.
Fingerprints, maybe? I don't know. You never know. You never know.
I'm going to tell you right now, that's exactly right.
Is it really?
That's exactly right.
Well, I was thinking, what would be individual to just him that you could track it and it would be?
How about that?
Was it really fingerprints? Yay!
All right.
Good job.
Way to go, Kim.
That was a big guess.
Kim, there you go. Good one.
Thank you.
Fingerprints.
Wow.
When he signs, or if he signs,
just a thumbprint or something?
He just puts his thumbprint on.
Interesting.
How about that? How about that? Okay.
Well, that's pretty neat.
What else do we have here?
Well, let's see. Mount Olive College is having a campus visitation day.
That's good.
On Monday, January the 21st. They're inviting high school juniors and seniors, and the parents are encouraged to come see firsthand what Mount Olive College has to offer. Prospective students will have the opportunity to tour classrooms, residence rooms, dining hall, and other campus facilities. Students can also meet with professors and athletic coaches, as well as speak to current students about campus life. Scholarship and financial aid information will also be made available. So that is January 21st from 9 until 2 p.m. Cost is free and lunch will be provided.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
It's in Mount Olive, North Carolina.
Well, Aaron McAuliffe, director of the Wayne County Services on Aging, says if you are new to Medicare, it can be a bit overwhelming and it can be a bit confusing. So they're offering a new to Medicare class that's being offered at the Peggy M. Seeger Senior Center on East Ash Street. That will be taking place next week. I believe it's Tuesday, January 15th, from 4 until 6 p.m. And if you have any questions about that, you can call the Senior Center at 731-1591. 731-1591. And ask about the new to Medicare class that will be offered on Tuesday of next week, January 15th, 4 to 6 p.m. Also, there's going to be a workshop available from the Cooperative Extension Service, the Center for Environmental Farming Systems, CEFS is offering several workshops this month with the 2013 Seasons of Sustainable Agriculture Workshop Series. These workshops featuring herbs, well, in the U.S., it's herbs. In Europe, it's herbs. Microgreens and edible flower production and tomato grafting and muscadine grape production and beekeeping. These workshops available, offered by CEFS, the Center for Environmental Farming Systems. And if you have any questions about that, I'm sure you can get information through the Cooperative Extension Service at 731-1525. All right?
Exactly right.
All right.
Let's see. Don't forget, there's the open mic that's going to be taking place at Wayne Services on Aging on Tuesday, January the 22nd. The Senior Center will be hosting an open mic program where the microphone will be open for 3 minutes. Seniors can come up and share their talents with the audience, whether you're singing, reading poetry, or just addressing the group. There will be a 3-minute time limit. Come and join the fun. It actually starts January the 15th, and they're going to be offering that on Tuesday and Wednesdays from 10 to 11 at the seniors. At the Wayne Services on Aging, excuse me.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun.
An open mic.
Well, January 10th is Woman's Suffrage Day, marking the introduction of the Susan B. Anthony Amendment to the U.S. Senate, this date, 1878. Susan B. Anthony's amendment was signed into law 42 years later. Took a while.
Yeah, definitely.
Took a while. Anyway, that was on this date, 1878. Also today, you mentioned National Peculiar People Day.
Yes.
That's on my list as well. But today is also Bittersweet Chocolate Day.
Ah.
Oh boy. And it's National Sturdy.
National what?
Sturdy, Flat-Heeled Shoes Appreciation Day.
Okay.
So
wear flats.
All right, wear flat-heeled shoes. I know I do every day. Or something like that. Anyway, today, 1997, the godfather of soul, James Brown, is feeling good, or he was, this day, 1997, when he got his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
Oh, wow.
And of course, you know that the gentleman presenting James Brown with the Hollywood Walk of Fame star on that particular day was Goldsboro's very own Johnny Grant.
Absolutely.
The late Johnny Grant.
That's right.
Rest his soul. Anyway, that happened this day a while back. That was 15 years ago. What else do we have here? Oh yes, oh yes. Imagine this: you belong to a tribe in Indonesia, and the tribe across on the other side of the island there. You guys are at war. You're fighting each other, and all of a sudden, in the middle of this war between two warring tribes in Indonesia, the earth shakes. Trees begin to lose their leaves, and everything is shaking and rumbling. Earthquake? Oh no. Bulldozer. They stopped their war. They were fighting, and they stopped right in the middle of everything to watch a road being built. The Jakarta Post, the newspaper there, said it was the first time ever the people had ever seen helicopters, motorcycles, bulldozers, and construction vehicles. So the next time you're invited to have war, get on a motorcycle or bring your bulldozer with you. That may be what prevent it.
Too funny.
There you go.
Well, I believe up next
yes.
is going to be Becky Craig.
Becky Craig.
She's the CFO of Wayne Memorial Hospital, and she is here to talk about their health needs assessment.
There you go.
So let's hear what Becky has to say. Good morning and welcome to Wayne Goldsboro Television. I'm Kim Best, your host. With me today is Becky from Wayne Memorial Hospital. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning. Glad to be here.
So you all have just completed your Wayne County Health Needs Assessment.
We just did, and the presentation will be on January 14th. That's a Monday at 5:30 at Wayne Community College.
Now tell me what we can expect at that presentation.
This is really the culmination of about a year's worth of work. 20 to 40 people have been meeting approximately quarterly, led by the hospital, that would be me, the health department. It's really been processed by ECU's Center for Survey Research. They helped us through this whole process. We've had many focus groups. We've had a survey online and paper survey that went on this summer. It's really the culmination of all those responses about what the healthcare needs are in Wayne County. And it will all be on display. This is a little sneak preview, Monday the 14th at 5:30 at Wayne Community College's Moffett Auditorium.
Now, do you need to pre-register or anything if you'd like to attend?
No, you don't need to pre-register. We hope the auditorium is going to be filled to overflowing. So we ask anyone with an interest in public health to please attend.
So what kind of things, I know it's results, but what kind of things can we look forward to hearing about on that evening at the presentation?
Well, let me give you a little background. Actually, the Internal Revenue Service has gotten into this act, and along with the health department, which is required by the state to do a community health needs assessment every 4 years, the hospital, as a tax-exempt entity, was required by the IRS as part of Obamacare to assess the community's health needs and then respond. The response part has not yet been totally formulated, but really this part of the effort was to identify what the healthcare needs are. They truly have not changed that much from year to year. We have done with the county, we've been a partner with them over their every 4-year assessment process for years. In fact, Watch came out of that process back in the 90s.
That's what you were telling me.
But this particular one, I can tell you that heart disease and cancer are the 2 top killers of people in Wayne County at about 22% each. And so those are 2 areas obviously we'll have a great interest in. And how can we bring those numbers not down? Everyone's going to eventually die.
Right.
But raise the age that people do die from these diseases. So that will be, at least part of that will be our focus. Diabetes is another key issue in Wayne County. It's a lifestyle, chronic disease. It's something that can be dealt with though, and we want to try to educate the public about diabetes is not an automatic amputation of limbs or blindness or all the terrible things that come from diabetes if they can get their diabetes under control. And
didn't you say we were #1 in the state?
well, Eastern Carolina is the diabetes belt.
Wow.
With about 11% of our citizens over 21 have diabetes, and that's way high. And as a country, we've been all headed that way. So
absolutely.
if it keeps going this direction, though, we've got to turn it around as a country. And I think hospitals like us are being looked at by the federal government as taking a more active role in the community to try to change healthcare habits in the community so that the very high cost of healthcare that happens in an acute care hospital like Wayne Memorial can come down. We can overall bring healthcare down, healthcare costs.
Well, you were telling me earlier that because we do have so many things to look at, whether it's diabetes or whether it's cancer or whether it's any other health issue, we all need to go to doctors. We need to go to a doctor on a regular basis. We need to know our numbers. You were telling me a little bit about that earlier.
We have about 60,000 visits in our emergency department every year. We have about 122,000 citizens here, so that's about one visit.
That's a lot of visits.
That's a lot of visit. And they're very high cost visits because we are staffed for any emergency, whether it be something really tragic, a bus wreck or whatever, you know, so we have to be ready. But that is a very expensive venue for care. So we recommend that instead of walking through with chest pains, that you really, you know, first of all, if you have chest pains, let me just back up. You should call 911 and come to the hospital immediately. But you should know about what your health care status is. You should have a primary care doctor. You need to have a doctor who knows you and who watches what's happening, you know, with your
you and your body,
signs.
right?
So A1C is a classic diabetes test that you ought to be having annually at least. If you have any history of diabetes in your family, high blood pressure is a huge issue in Wayne County and across the country. If you have high blood pressure, that is not acceptable to just say, I have high blood pressure. You need to get it treated. If it runs in your family, you need to get it treated.
Right.
It's not something that you should just accept because that will cause early death. And, you know, if you've got children and grandchildren,
You want to be around for that.
That's right. You want to be around for them. So.
Well, you were saying earlier that there's a place on the hospital's website where you can go to find a doctor. If you need a doctor for any situation, there's a place you can go on your website. Is that correct?
That's right. And you go right to waynehealth.org, and on there it says find a doctor, and there's a phone number to call. They have all the latest information about, you know, we have several new doctors in town.
Right.
They have empty schedules right now in some places. They are seeing patients, but there's available slots. So it is crucial that people find a doctor. There's another group of companies called Goshen Medical Centers. There's 4 or 5 of those centers here in Goldsboro. They're scattered around eastern Carolina, all the Goshen centers. There's 2 in Mount Olive. There's 1 across from the hospital. There's 1 on Ash Street. There's 1 in Fremont.
And they're accepting patients.
And they're accepting patients, and it's on a sliding scale, so there is just no excuse not to go see a doctor.
So this is all, comes together. It sounds like to me it's all about prevention.
It is
and
all
living
about prevention.
a life of wellness.
That's right. So that you're not coming to the emergency department with something that could be handled outside and better handled outside if you got to it closer and quicker and
ahead of time.
Ahead of time. That's right.
Well, tell me more about the focus groups that led this whole event.
Okay. Back in the summer, we had about 7 different focus groups around the county, from Grantham to Fremont, Seymour Johnson, pulled together about 10 to 14 individuals, about half women, half men, and just got their feedback about what they thought the health issues were in Wayne County. And I will tell you, almost across every one of these, economic issues continue to come up. Isn't that interesting that people felt like they either didn't have health insurance or, we need more jobs here with insurance. So I think that's going to be common around the state. Every hospital, and by the way, in North Carolina, that's a tax-exempt hospital, and about 80% of them are involved in the same process. And so the state will have a lot of data to compare. We actually used their survey. We tweaked it just a little bit to add things like, Seymour Johnson and things that were specific to Wayne County. But that way they can be compared across the state to see how we rank. And we don't rank so well in some of these areas where exercise and diet especially are concerned. And
you were saying earlier, this is an agricultural community.
We should have the best diets of anybody. It doesn't get any better than sweet potatoes.
Yeah, absolutely.
In terms of vitamins and things like that. So,
and things that are available right here.
Collards, greens, I mean, these are good vegetables which we should be taking advantage of.
So tell me a little more about the culmination of all this information and what are you going to do with it?
When we pull all this together, and let me tell you, we also had about 1,400 surveys. I don't know if I mentioned that.
No.
So we got the 1,400 surveys, and then in addition to these focus groups, we had 3 specialty focus groups. One was at the soup kitchen, one was at a Latino market, and one was at the Watch Free Clinic. So we took all of these, and then actually these people from East Carolina, the statisticians, are pulling together all of Wayne County's data compared to other counties, other states, and the United States.
So we can see where we rank.
So we can see where we rank and see where we have come in the last 5 or 10 years. So really that's the hard data, we call that. It's called secondary sources. These primary sources are really giving us an idea of what people think. And it's not necessarily, what the data shows.
Right.
So we're trying to meld those two together and come up with, here's a plan for how we can move the dial on Wayne County's health, down to the individual level. And once we get all this data together, and even we have not seen all the secondary data from East Carolina, once that gets together, our board and will be working with the Wayne County Health Department and our other community partners, which have been excellent helpers during this process. The YMCA, for example, Partnership for Children, and Wages. We will get together with them and see what we think we can do most cost effectively to get the biggest bang for the dollar in terms of community health.
Wonderful. So
we'll have another session about that.
Exactly, exactly. So one more time, when can they hear these results?
It's on Monday, January 14, 5:30 p.m. to 6:30. We made it so people could come after work.
Right.
Standing room only, we hope, at the Moffett Auditorium at Wayne Community College.
Well, thank you so much for being with us. This is important information for all the citizens of our community to be aware of. If you're interested in hearing details, you can attend the presentation. You can go to the website, which is
waynehealth.org, and also the county will have it
posted on their website as well. Right. Wonderful. This is crucial information for our community to know. This affects you and your family. And if you are interested, like I said, you can go to the website of both the county and the hospital, or you can attend the live presentation. Thank you so much for being with us, and this is Wayne Goldsboro Television.
Okay, that was interesting.
Absolutely. Becky does a good job, and I think that presentation will be nice for those that are interested in hearing the details of that presentation.
Yeah. And I think, you know, regardless of what people say or think, they're not always paying attention to doing the right thing health-wise. But it's always good to know, and sometimes you get kind of a rude awakening. It's kind of a, you know, the proverbial 2x4.
Right.
To say, hey, wake up, think about what you're doing here.
Your health needs to come first.
Well, I'm no different than anyone else. I need to do a little work, you know, to...
Don't we all?
Yeah.
Don't we all?
Okay, birthdays today. One of my favorites, Rod Stewart, is having a birthday. He is 67 today.
He is still putting out some mighty fine music.
He is. Pat Benatar having a birthday. She's 59. Frankie Jr., Frank Sinatra Jr., is 68 years old. That's hard to believe, but he is. He tried, and he had some songs out, but he never really, of course, hit the big time with as his dad did. Frankie Jr. is 68 today. Birthday today also for champion griller George Foreman.
Oh, yes.
George
How
Foreman,
old is he?
63.
He's that young.
He is that. Yes, he's that young. Yes, he is that young. I know you would think he would be a lot older because he's been in the news. He's been a major figure in the sports world for so many years. But you know, I think he has 5.
He has a lot.
5 boys.
And several are named George.
I think they're all named George.
Go figure.
All named George. That's right. So when somebody across the house says, "Oh,
how do you
George!"
answer that? They all come running.
They all come running.
Oh well.
Oh well.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, mine too. Well, let's see. What else do we have here? Fit and Fabulous. Let's see. Today is the 10th. Fit and Fabulous is taking place Monday.
That's right.
First one is this coming Monday, the beginning of a 29-week class of Mondays and Wednesdays, Fit and Fabulous 2013. Mondays and Wednesdays from 6 p.m. until 7 p.m.
Evening.
At Wayne Center on Chestnut Street, Chestnut and George. The Mondays you'll do Zumba or
aerobics, one or the
aerobics, one or the other. And then the following day, Wednesday, you will do the other. So they'll alternate back and forth. Registration deadline is passed, but that ended yesterday. But if you call right now, or at least wait until 8 o'clock.
If they say wait till 8 when they open.
When they open, you might be able to get in on this. But that's going to be a great class, and it's only $30.
For 29 weeks.
For
My goodness.
29 weeks. That's a
good deal.
50 cents a session.
That's a good deal.
Less than that, actually. All right. All right. What else do we have?
Well, you can also take classes at the Goldsboro Parks and Recreation. They have Zumba as well, $5 a class from 5:30 to 6:30 in the afternoons. You can call 919-739-7480 for more information on not only that, but all the other classes, from pottery classes, and the list goes on and on that they offer at Goldsboro Parks and Recreation.
Okay, very good. Also, for those who are concerned about strokes, victims of stroke, there is a stroke support group here in Wayne County, and the next meeting of that organization will be on the 28th of February, next month. So it's about 6 weeks away. At Wayne Memorial Hospital, if you'd like information, you can call the rehab department at the hospital at 731-6005. 731-6005, the stroke support group. Okay?
Let's see, at Mount Olive College, they'll also have something called the Avante Vocal Ensemble, which will be in concert on Saturday, February the 2nd at 7:30 p.m. Tickets are $10 at the Assembly Hall at Mount Olive College. It says this group is held for their extraordinary vocal gymnastics. Interesting.
Vocal gymnastics.
Vocal gymnastics. So that is Saturday, February 2nd, Mount Olive College. Interesting.
Trying to figure that one out.
The unusual things they can do with their voices.
Oh, vocal gymnastics.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
This is Studebaker used to make an Avante.
Did they?
Oh, it was a beautiful automobile. Very unusual. I think it was made in Canada, but anyway, it was a really unusual, way ahead of its time. Had a blown engine and a souped-up engine.
Right.
And that was just a fantastic automobile. And in fact, there's a guy here in Goldsboro that has one. And but that was in the 60s, and you don't see them anymore because they're just very unusual, very hard. But you sure know it when you see it. Unusual design.
Oh, yeah.
I love that automobile. And
Maybe that's where their name comes from. It's just unusual.
Maybe that's it. Has nothing to do with what
Vocal gymnastics.
Nothing. Absolutely nothing at all. I just thought I'd mention that. Anyway.
Well, up next, I believe, is Cindy Stollard. She is the City of Goldsboro's occupational nurse, and she's going to be talking with us about wellness and how to keep yourself well and healthy during these holiday season and during the winter months. So stay tuned. Good morning and welcome back to WGTV Today. I'm Kim Best, your host. Joining me today is occupational health nurse, Miss Cindy Stollard with the City of Goldsboro. Good morning and welcome to the show.
Good morning, Kim.
Well, you are here today to talk about the Health Beat, which you have different topics every month, correct, Cindy?
That's right.
So tell us what this month's topic is and what we need to know about this month's Health Beat.
This month we have talked about a program from the National Kidney Foundation called Know Your Score, Love Your Kidneys.
Know your score, love your kidneys.
Correct. And so it talks about 3 different tests that we can do to find out if we have any kidney damage. And they're very easy tests. One is getting your blood pressure checked frequently. Another is a urine test, which shows if we should spill any protein into our urine, which is unusual. For somebody to spill protein into their urine, if they were doing heavy weightlifting and exercising, that would be okay, a little bit. But if it happens over a period of 3 months, that is unusual and it could be a sign of kidney damage.
Are there other signs that we would recognize on a day-to-day basis that we were having kidney issues?
They are not. In fact, if someone had diabetes or hypertension, that could lead to kidney failure if it's not managed. And it's a disease that affects a person quite greatly. They have to manage, like for example, diabetes. They have to keep their blood sugars within a normal range. And if you do that, you manage the disease and it doesn't manage you. It causes long-term damage over a period of time that is unseen until it's too late.
So who would you recommend needs to have these tests done?
Well, anybody who's diabetic, they need to be taking care of themselves, one. Or someone with hypertension also. Hypertension can cause chronic kidney disease, and chronic kidney disease can cause hypertension. So it's kind of like a seesaw. And again, there are some higher risk groups, African Americans, Asians, Pacific Islanders. They have a higher risk just because of the fact that diabetes runs in their families more, as does hypertension.
Right.
And if somebody had a smoking history as well, that can be, part of their risks. So there are things that we can control. We can manage our weight, we can manage our blood pressure, we can manage diabetes, watch salt in your diet.
That's always a hard one.
It is. We don't realize how much salt is in products. They have those nice little Lunchables that you can take to work, and they have thousands of milligrams of sodium in them, which...
You're right, because I have flipped over on the back of so many different products just to check out the sodium, and it is amazing.
It's an eye-opener.
Even on a can of soup, sometimes it's amazing how high the sodium level is. You think it's so healthy, and then you check that out, and you think, well, maybe not so much.
You're right.
So you have to look for the light versions of many products.
Right, or low sodium versions, yeah. In the United States alone, there's over 26 million people that have chronic kidney disease. So bringing it to
26 million?
26 million. So you bring it to a lower or closer, North Carolina, it's like 1 million. And we have almost 14,000 people that are on dialysis, and dialysis is a treatment that is 3 times a week. It's no fun. So out of those almost 14,000 people, 50% of them are on dialysis because of diabetes. So it's caused damage where their kidneys are no longer able to do the job they're supposed to.
So ways to prevent that is to do the things that you have listed already today.
Exactly. Yeah. Easy test. The doctor can do a urine test, or there's actually a blood test that comes with our routine physical. It's called glomerular filtration rate. It actually shows the number of how our kidneys are functioning. So our kidneys are like filters, and they process over 200 quarts of blood a day. I like numbers.
Obviously, she's reeling it off.
Yeah. So I can imagine, you know, the work that our kidneys do. So we appreciate them. They do, and we take for granted, you know, having a nice tall drink with lunch. You know, somebody who is in renal failure or kidney failure, they would have a half a glass of fluid at lunch, nothing allowed during, you know, between meals, and then a glass with the next meal. So it's, you know, it's really a lifestyle change, and it's not one of the better ones.
Yeah.
Right.
So the whole month of December, you've been focusing with your Health Beat on kidneys.
Right.
And how to help your kidneys, how to protect your kidneys, and how to prevent kidney disease.
That's exactly
Now tell
right.
me how you implement this with the city of Goldsboro.
Well, we developed a program. This one was sent to me by the National Kidney Foundation. Kidney disease is actually one of the biggest problems worldwide. So what I do is, you know, I establish a schedule when I can bring the programs to the departments, and then we just do that. It's like packing up and going.
You just take all your tools and you go from department to department.
Yeah. So it makes it easier because they're in the workplace.
Exactly.
You know, we're not all under one roof.
Healthy.
Exactly. So it's.
Well, tell me about January. What's the big Health Beat theme for that month?
I don't know yet.
You haven't
I'm
made that
still
decision,
working.
huh?
Exactly. I have a chiropractor who would like to bring a program in February, so we're excited about that. But January is still to be discovered.
Well, we'll let you know.
That's right.
All right, well, thank you so much for that, and we appreciate the information, and we look forward to hearing what the topic will be in January.
All right, thank you so much, and Merry Christmas.
Absolutely, same too. I hope you've learned something today about your kidneys and how to take better care of them. We will see you again next month to see what's the topic for Health Beat.
We're back on WGTV today. Thank you for being with us. It is a Thursday morning. It is the 10th of January, if you're keeping up with that sort of thing.
That's exactly right. I think everybody might be keeping up with it.
I certainly hope so. All right. You know, here we are in the new year, and there were some new laws passed, and you heard a lot about this on the news last week, but a couple of them I really thought was interesting, and something I don't think about, and I don't know how many people do think about this, but it actually had to go to the North Carolina General Assembly, and they had to pass a law that made it a felony to steal $1,000 worth of spent restaurant grease.
I saw that. I was wondering where in the world that came from.
Well,
and why?
Well, the why is because this grease can be used by the biodiesel industry to create biodiesel fuel. Mm-hmm. And it apparently has become very popular, kind of like stealing copper,
right,
to steal grease from restaurant vats. You know, they store this, and it's used, they sell it to or give it to a company that uses it to recycle it into fuel. So it's become fashionable, if not the thing, to steal it and sell it. So there's a law that's been passed now that says that protects the grease. Anyone who pilfers more than $1,000 worth of grease, including the value of its container, can be charged with a felony. Less than $1,000, it's still a misdemeanor. But kitchen grease has become a valuable commodity for its use in producing biodiesel fuel. Thieves of the cooking waste can sell the used oil to the companies that produce the green fuel alternative. And one of our representatives, a guy out of Gaston County, said theft was just reaching epidemic proportions.
My goodness.
Epidemic proportions now. The real news from the new law is the sigh of relief small collectors can breathe over changes to the original bill. Initial amendments would have made the process more cumbersome and more expensive for small businesses requiring a state license, precise records of how much grease came from where, and a requirement for $1 million in liability insurance. Anyway, it just gets ridiculous there. But they changed all that. A requirement for $1 million in liability insurance failed to any company using the grease to make biodiesel. Anyway, it's against the law to steal anything, but especially if it's a felony now if you're going to steal over $1,000 worth of used restaurant grease, or cooking grease.
My goodness, the things people will go to.
I know.
The extremes.
Yeah.
Well, I do want to talk about GPAC, which is a new initiative here within the city. It's the Goldsboro Partners Against Crime.
Oh.
It's a new initiative which consists of committee members that are dedicated local citizens who, in partnership with the Goldsboro Police Department and the court system, are interested in using a focused deterrence and community partnership to reduce crime. In other words, a group is getting together that is a very focused group that is going to work on and figure out ways to get our crime down here in our community, especially targeting violent crime.
Oh, boy.
The Goldsboro Partners Against Crime, or GPAC, does target crime and builds community resources and strong public bonds as the key factor in helping individuals disassociate themselves from criminal misconduct. The GPAC allows for a select group of offenders to receive a second chance with assistance from their family and the community. We assist by confronting offenders who are not involved in crime and offering offenders help in turning their lives into a positive direction, and supporting the prosecution process if the offenders decide to reoffend and not return to violent crime.
Oh, yeah.
It's not a strategy to forgive offenders for the violent crime committed in the past. It is a promise to vigorously prosecute repeat offenders who continue to engage in criminal activity. The plan creates a clear, predictable sanction against those who commit violent crime. It offers a range of services to help offenders and focused family and community standards against violent crime and the known offenders. Our goal is to improve the quality of life for residents here in the city of Goldsboro by employing a comprehensive, collaborative, data-driven, strategic approach to ending identified criminal activity and violence in the city of Goldsboro. So you can be rest assured that this committee will do everything in its power to reduce the violent crime going on here in our community. This is all a strategy that is proven in other areas across the United States, Boston, but also right here in North Carolina, High Point, North Carolina. They have used the same strategy for well over 15 years, and it has proven unbelievable results. So we are following their same strategy, and we've met with the police department in High Point many times. Our police chief and a list of local community members have gone and learned their strategies and trying to figure out what they do and follow their lead, and it's being implemented as we speak.
Wow.
January 1st, this came into effect.
Wow.
And you will start seeing and hearing more and more about GPAC.
Well, that's very impressive. Something's got to be done. I hope this works. I hope this works. And with the background and the success rate, it sounds promising.
Well, you know, like I said, the success rate in High Point, North Carolina has been over the top. They've been doing this for over 15 years, and it's over now. About 3 different police chiefs have gone through the system, and they still keep implementing the same program. When they first implemented this program, it was all for violent crimes like we've had recently here in Goldsboro. It has been such a success that now they're just channeling it down and readapting it to fit whatever their highest crime rate is.
Wow.
Now it happens to be domestic violence.
Oh,
So, you know, they just change it and adapt it based on whatever the highest rate of crime is in their community. And that's what we're hoping to do here, is reduce our violent crime.
well, good luck. Good luck with all that.
You'll hear more and more about it as the weeks and months go along.
I have my own thoughts, and as do most people have their own thoughts about domestic violence.
Yeah, exactly.
But we won't get into that right now. What's next? Are we?
I believe, yes, we are closing out the program, and we'll be back with you tomorrow. So yes, we
that
have.
time
It is
already?
that
Oh, my
time
goodness.
already. It certainly is. It is.
Well, we are indeed out of time. Then. We're here every morning, Monday through Friday at 7 a.m. And if you missed that program, this program, you can join us again at noon. It replays at noon, and then again at 5:30, and then again during the evening hours as well, Monday through Friday. You can also get us on YouTube. Go to waynegov.com, and on the right side of the page, you can click on the YouTube link, and that will
right.
take you to our channel with all the programs we have ever done, and then some archived. And then on the city site,
Of course, you go to goldsboronc.gov and you can click right on WGTV link up on the right-hand corner, or you can click right on the YouTube channel and it'll take you directly to the programs.
Have yourself a fine day. We'll be back in here tomorrow morning on Friday morning. And until then, I'm Wayne Alley.
And I'm Kim Best, and this is what's happening in your community.